Hi guys, my name is Tatiana Anders. I am the creator of Your Reality Film, and I wanted to make this video to just react to your comments because honestly, I am blown away by the response that we have received on YouTube. And I wish I would have put this film out earlier. Who could have known that it would, get so much traction and awareness? But it's all really thanks to you, because you are the ones liking the content, sharing it with your friends, subscribing to my channel, and most importantly, commenting and sharing your experiences with others. And I find it so heartwarming and so beautiful. So I really wanted to take the time to go through your comments and answer to any questions that some of you might have, also reply to some of the feedback and take it into account, and also just share your stories, because I think it's important that we see gaslighting and narcissistic abuse from all sides, right? And people sharing with each other, I think, maybe helps other people connect the dots and also get out of their own situation that might be similar. Before we go ahead, I also just wanted to give a huge shout out and thank you to our cast and crew. I could have never done it without them. So thank you to our director, Top Tarasin, to our amazing DOP, Jake Shule. Huge thank you to our executive producer, John from Perimeter Films, and our producer, AJ from Dawn Sky Films, and the rest of our amazing, super talented crew. Also, huge thank you to the cast, MJ Lee, who plays Sophie, and Kyle James, who plays Mark, which, bless him, he really has received a lot of tough comments, obviously as a character, but he's done such a brilliant job, and he's like super lovely guy in real life. But yeah, it's tough to play a character like Mark, for sure. So well done. Let's just get started. I'm gonna pick the comments randomly. Obviously there are over 4,000 comments out there, so I won't be able to react to all of them, but I'll do my best to do as many as possible. Cool, so the first one we've got is from Judith Hajite. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Being a daughter of a narc dad and a victim of a narc ex-husband, after years of therapy, my stomach cramped quite early on the story when the guy made the very subtle remark about her being late from the first date, the homemade dinner. It can happen with a normal person too, but usually it's just the beginning of an abusive pattern. Very educating and sensitive short film, congrats. Advice from a narc survivor: always monitor your feelings when engaging with individuals, most the new ones coming into your life. And if you feel confused and humiliated, believe it. Never let anyone question your reality. Judith, you're so spot on. I totally agree with you. Listening to your gut is so important, and if you constantly feel like something's off, I think monitoring your emotions is just like, it's so important. If you don't feel good in the relationship and you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, this is not normal. You got to do something about it. If it feels wrong, it's probably wrong. So I think that's such brilliant advice. And thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate it. And I also totally agree. The first ever sort of like, oh, you're slightly late to the dinner, I put it in there for exactly that reason. The first things, they're so subtle little digs where you just like brush them off, but then they become bigger and bigger until you are this terrible person and you're useless and completely stupid. This is how they sort of like chip away on your confidence. Amanda, definitely a red flag when they constantly make you believe your memory isn't good. They want to make you feel like you're crazy. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you here, Amanda. And this is really is sort of like the definition of gaslighting. They make you doubt yourself. The doubting yourself is so confusing, and it just makes you really question everything in your life. And it's definitely a no-go for a healthy relationship. Also, again, Kaleido Jess, red flag number 1 is the confusion. A good relationship doesn't include confusion. Someone who cares about you won't ever play games with your head and heart like that. Exactly. This is just a reiteration sort of the previous comment, and I absolutely agree. We've got the wounded healer next. I swear being alone is way better than ever having to experience this. This shit absolutely destroys you from the inside out. Yeah, I tend to agree here. I mean, it's nice to be in a good relationship. I wouldn't say like, you should never put yourself out there, never date again. But definitely, I think the morale here is that it's important to embrace and love yourself and be happy being alone, and then welcome someone sort of only to improve your well-being, but not like being dependent on them. I think when you feel like you have to be with someone, you're inviting someone like Mark character, a narcissist, to come into your life, where you almost like cry for being a codependent. So love yourself first, it's so important, and then welcome people into your life that enhance it. Another comment we've got from Tutran. So that's how a vibrant, young, thriving woman becomes this docile, numb victim. No one really knows what happens behind closed doors. We only see the end result. We don't see the process. Everyone thinks the guy is the nice one, when in fact he's the abuser. I can definitely relate. Yeah, exactly. It's so crazy how charming narcissists can be when they want to. This is how they get you. This is how you get caught in their spider web. Ela match. When you feel crazy and alone in a relationship, then you are probably being abused. You can escape even if you don't think there's a way out. There's always a way out. It will never get better. I agree. I think the reason really people want to stay in a relationship like this is that it feels in that moment, they make you feel like you have no future without them. And I think it really takes so much courage and a leap of faith to leave that kind of relationship. And for the ones of you who have shared your stories and who have told me that you managed to get out, I have so much respect for you guys. This, I can totally understand how hard it can be, but it is possible. Jennifer Brower. It's death by 1,000 cuts. They don't start by yelling and hitting. They make you doubt yourself. It can happen to anyone. The best thing I have learned to do is set boundaries and do not compromise them. Also look for the red flags like love bombing, dominating your time, and isolation from important people in your life. No one understands you like I do is a big, big red flag. Really, really good advice, Jennifer. Thank you so much for sharing. Another comment we've got here is from Jonathan Noble Esquire. Seasoned divorce lawyer here. Avoid marrying a narcissist at all costs. Vet very carefully before you marry one. The divorce will be brutal, especially if you discard them and cause a narcissistic injury. Stay safe out there. Thank you so much for sharing, Jonathan. I have seen this happening a few times. In fact, a friend of mine is going through a separation, not even a divorce, they never even got married, but they have a kid together, and obviously fighting for the rights for the kid has really been so difficult, and she's such a lovely girl, and I feel really bad for her. She's trying to stay strong, and she is a really strong and positive person, but damn, did she not deserve this. Another comment here from Alfia Mityukova. I love how in the beginning of the film, author included how her own mother calls her selfish. It all starts in the childhood with narcissistic parents. Oh my god, you're so spot on. It was really important for me to put that into the script, because I think that a lot of the times, a lot of sort of traumas and lack of confidence that we get is from our parents or from someone else in our childhood telling us that we're not good enough, And I also feel like people can be very successful at work, but potentially just lack confidence in relationships. Like, these two things are really not as correlated as people think. So it was important to plant that seed that, she has problems with her own confidence and with dating in general. Another comment here is from SD Tiger Lily. Narcs aren't just partners, they are parents and bosses too. Keep a journal if you suspect you're being gaslit. Document your interactions with said gaslighter, date, time, what you tell them, and what they say. Documentation is gold when dealing with any gaslighter, especially an abusive boss, should you go to HR or a lawyer. It takes time to leave an abusive situation. Minors with abusive parents have to wait until they're adults. It can take months to find a new job or a new place to live. Keeping a journal helps debunk the gaslighting, which preserves your sanity in the meantime. Such brilliant, wise words. I totally agree. Being able to document and write things down is super important and can be really helpful. And also, yes, having a narcissistic boss is really common as well. But I think, honestly, the worst of it is having narcissistic parents, because exactly as Tiger Lily said, unless, you are 18 or 16 even, it's impossible to leave. So what do you do, and how do you keep sane? I think a lot of it is also relying on your support network and your friends. Keeping a journal can be really helpful as well. But my heart goes out to you if you have been in that situation where your parents treated you that way. Next comment we've got is from Carmen Antosh. This gave me chills, especially in the end, where you can see how he actually treated her in comparison to what she was thinking it was going on. You guys did an amazing job. Too bad emotional abuse isn't that much talked about, and it's not even seen as abuse in many countries. Imagine going to the police to file a complaint against it when they don't even take women seriously that experience physical abuse and or rape. Are you sure you didn't do something to provoke him? Carmen, absolutely, you're so spot on. And I honestly feel like, physical abuse obviously is horrendous and shouldn't be tolerated. But then emotional abuse is equally as bad. And sometimes it even leaves deeper wounds, because it's not just like they are with physical abuse, you know straight away they are the bad guy, and with emotional abuse like that, you actually think that you are the bad guy. You actually think that you deserve it. You deserve the, all the terrible words and things that are being said to you, because they twist your mind like that and they change your reality and your perception of things. So yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm here, and that's why we want to spread awareness, because in some countries, as you say, it's impossible to even get any support. So ideally is, for you to be able to recognize these red flags and be able to avoid these people early on, so you don't have to deal with this kind of abuse. That is really my hope for all of you out there watching. Syra extras. Honestly, I was disappointed up until the last scene. They successfully lulled me into the mindset that I was watching the situation from an objective outside perspective. So I thought the film was barely scratching the surface of gaslighting. And I felt quite alone, because I had been hoping to find a story that I could really relate to and connect to. But once I saw that final scene and understood that the film is exposing her perspective alone, I saw the entire film differently. They're trying to demonstrate how you end up justifying your partner's behavior in your mind, how you minimize it, how you end up seeing them as the good one and yourself as the bad one. And they are a success in this relationship and you are the failure. And you don't see things how bad they truly are. Once I reached the final scene, the film finally spoke to me in the way that I had been hoping for when I clicked onto it. Yes, I've been thinking a lot actually when I was writing the short film, whether to make it more objective or whether to only show her perspective. And in the end, I decided to only show her perspective because I wanted the audience to get the feeling of how it feels like to be in victim's shoes. Almost, I wanted the audience to be gaslit, and understand how your vision is like is not clear. It's very like you get like a tunnel vision. You don't see the whole picture when you are in this relationship. So I'm actually really happy that that came across. And the final scene really was supposed to be like a shock where you're like, oh my God, you know, and then you have to rewatch it and be like, yeah, now I see all the red flags as they were developing. Because I think this is really how a person who finds out about narcissism and gaslighting starts to reevaluate their relationship, looking back at things and, you know, the partner, how they reacted in certain situations. So thank you. I actually really appreciate this comment. Another interesting comment from Klein Hochiko. Oh, I recognized another warning sign too, right in the first minute. He paid her bills, but he doesn't consider it as a matter of course. He expects her to text him. A normal gentleman would rather say, it's okay, don't mention it. It's funny because I actually didn't even think about it as a red flag when I wrote it. It was for me more like a tool for them to meet. And obviously I wanted for him to have the upper hand and to kind of like swoosh her away and be such a gentleman. But it's an interesting one. Yeah, he kind of expects everything that he does, there is an ulterior motive to it. So definitely. Oh. Things I'm learning about my film as well. Another comment here is from Ivy Rose. This is scarily relatable. He had damaged every part of me, mentally and physically. I was a constant embarrassment to him, a flirt, a drunk. I would spend most nights alone with our newborn crying when he hadn't returned from going out for the millionth time. I'd call and call. All I wanted was to know that he was okay and not hurt. Just a single message would help me to sleep. Instead, I'd find myself dark and heavy-eyed hours into the next day evening, still staring at the damn door to open and for him to be back. I loved him, therefore I believed every little foolish lie he told. And he told them well, looking me straight in the eyes as he did. He had turned everyone in our lives against me, to the point I was even against myself. Then there I was with a toddler and another newborn. How could I possibly give them the love and attention they desperately needed when I could hardly take time of myself anymore at that point? I never fully understood the amount of abuse until I endured. I never fully understood the amount of abuse I endured until I met someone new who built me back up to being the person I used to be, with love and nothing but love. It took me a couple of years to not flinch at every move, years to stop apologizing for things I most definitely did not need to be apologizing for. Turns out I am not by any means any embarrassment, nor do I flirt with every man in the room. Most of all, I can easily handle my alcohol, that is, if I even touch it anymore to begin with. The hardest part is that you do love that person, but as much as you believe you can fix them or believe that they can change, they won't. They'll kill you before that happens, using your own mind. Thank you for this painfully beautiful short. I had no idea there were so many people out there with nearly identical stories and situations. Wow. Thank you for sharing, Ivy. That's really deep. And I feel really bad for you, but I'm really happy that you managed to get out of it and that you managed to find someone who truly loves you. This just gives hope to everyone else as well. I also share your opinion on or observation on how shocked I am that so many of you can relate to the film, which tells me that this problem is so much bigger than I ever even anticipated. Yeah, it's crazy. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is what you suggested about, you know, being in a relationship. And this is kind of like one of the reasons why I picked a topic where the narcissist is a partner as opposed to your boss or a parent. Is, I think, because when love is involved, everything is just so much more complicated, and you want to believe in the good side of that person. You want to believe that they have something in them, and basically you love them. You're blinded by love, and it can be so much harder to let go. So, and especially because in the beginning, you know, they put you on a pedestal, they they keep telling you how special you are and how amazing and how in love they are with you. And then suddenly they stop loving you and you think that it must be you because, you know, first you were like the most amazing person in the world and now you are a nobody, so you probably must have messed up somehow. And you know, when you truly love the other person, it's just really complicated, I think. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Ivy. That's really deep. Roshan Dune, I think he's just stressed about work is the killer. That's what I told myself, what everyone said to me. It's when you gaslight yourself. Yeah, a lot of the times we make excuses for the behavior of our abusive partner, and that's not okay. You know, if you feel bad, if you feel like you have a knot in your stomach and your gut is telling you something's off, then something is probably off. Another comment is from Carolina C. I remember being terrified that my ex would speak to my friends before I could get my side of the story out. He could be so charming when he wanted to be. A class act at faking any emotion. If he wasn't outright turning them against me, he was sowing seeds of doubt. Luckily, a handful of real friends stuck to me through that whole shit show, and the rest eventually saw his true nature with time. Yeah, this is the problem with them. They can be so charming, and that's the reason why we fall for them in the first place, right? So I'm glad you managed to get out of it, Carolina. Thanks for sharing. Here is a comment from Taylor Van Cleve. Wow, that made me cry. That was my life. The silent treatment in the morning. I remember him waking up on one of my birthdays and refusing to speak to me for hours because he had a dream that I left him. A dream. Apologizing, always apologizing over and over again. It's so sad what this does to a person mentally and emotionally. Oh my God, that's crazy. This is just so like not normal in a healthy relationship, right? That someone dreams something bad happened and is annoyed at you for being in that dream. That's insane. I'm so glad that you left him, Taylor. Good on you. Honestly, it sounds horrendous. Another comment from Ivy Allen Fiddles. She was explaining his extreme overreaction to her friend and then moved her glass onto the coaster knowing he'd flare up if you saw that. Wow. Yeah, it was actually the idea of our director Top, and I thought it was so brilliant. Just sort of like how your behaviors change as well, and you kind of like put everything into the filter of, oh, will he be annoyed when I do this or touch that? And yeah, exactly. She kind of like tries to, basically, she's walking on eggshells, right? Just trying to avoid conflict at all costs. I'm glad that you picked it up and, you know, that it all sort of makes sense as part of a whole picture. A comment from Annie123. The problem is it's sometimes easier to see narcissism from the outside when you're not the one in the so-called relationship. You make excuses for them and blame yourself. Yeah, it's absolutely true. It is so much easier to see it from the outside. That's why I think it's important, or it's hopefully helpful to see someone else going through exactly the same things, and then you see their relationship and then you like draw parallels with your own relationships and realize that it's not okay. I think even if you are in one and then you see someone else going through something similar, hopefully that was my idea behind creating this film. But I totally agree. It's so hard to see your own when you're so deep in it, your own situation, especially, as I say, when love is involved. Brian Bomarito. Keep in mind, things won't always be right in a relationship, but you should be partners, equals in every sense of the word. Considerate of each other's feelings. If you have a partner who is constantly belittling you, making you feel more like a possession than a person, gives you orders but never listens to anything you say, and when you try to get fair treatment, they give you a guilt trip because you're the one making it difficult for them, get out as quickly and stealthily as you can. Don't give them warning unless it's from a very far and safe distance because they won't take it kindly. These kind of people are not just sick, they are dangerous. You can't cure them. Nobody can. They won't admit they are sick. To their mind, the whole world is sick but them. Get out with your life. Nothing else matters. And you'll find someone else who knows how to treat you right and will listen to you and your concerns and will be more reasonable. It's such good advice, Brian. I honestly don't even know what to add to this because I agree, you're so spot on. Such good words. And yes, in normal relationships, you will not always, you will have arguments, but as long as the other person from time to time agrees to your point of view, it's okay. But if they constantly, if you are constantly wrong and they're constantly right, it's not okay. Deanne Whittaker. I'm so glad my family didn't fall for the fake concerns. When you tried to convince them that I was crazy, they didn't believe them. I love my family. That's so nice. I'm really happy. Yeah, if you have a strong support network, that makes such a huge difference. And I'm really glad that your family didn't fall for his lies and his charm. Shiloh Bell. I told my daughter it starts with backhand compliments. If they give you a compliment and back it up with an insult, run. I totally agree. If a compliment is not authentic, honest, genuine compliment, then, what's the point of it? Charles Cross. This hit home. I could really relate with your character. Recently got out of this kind of relationship. It makes you feel insane. I lost relationships with friends and jobs that I loved. They weigh you down and cut you off from the outside, so you're easier to manipulate and control. The lies they tell you and acts they put on for others is exhausting. You're constantly worried about their feelings and happiness, and you are never allowed to think about your own. I knew it was odd when I would receive consideration and empathy from strangers or co-workers that I never received from my partner. Therapy saved me. My therapist told me right away that I had been in an extremely abusive relationship with someone who is dangerous, and I need to leave before it's too late. It's like waking up from a nightmare. It's only been a few weeks, but I have a place of my own. I go on walks, cook, write music, listen to the music I like, all of these things that I was unable to do in the relationship. I've made friends too. I'm taking it one step at a time. Thank you so much for this film. I wish you continued success and happiness. Thank you so much for sharing, Charles. I'm really happy that you managed to get out of this relationship. It sounds really terrible. And I agree with you. Therapy can be so helpful. It can help you see things more clearly, but also therapy can help you heal. So even if you manage to escape the abusive partner and leave them, sometimes it's like a little bit like a drug. A lot of people also end up getting back together with the narcissistic abusers. So I think it's important, even after you've left the relationship, to sometimes talk to a therapist and help you get over that next stage of, recovering and building yourself back up. So yeah, thank you so much for your kind words, Charles. Appreciate it. Karma, Queen of Flames. Her first mistake was meeting him at his place for a first date. You can't allow a stranger to have complete control over you and your surroundings. Yes and no. I think that as much as I agree, it's probably a better idea to meet somewhere in a public place, in a restaurant or a bar or a coffee shop or whatever. But I actually don't think it would have changed the dynamic of a relationship. Yes, they would have met in a restaurant. He probably would have said, "You're late." I don't know what to say. In fact, we've changed it, because in the first draft we actually had them have the first day, wanted for them to have the first day at the restaurant, but then we changed it to his home just because it was easier to shoot it like that. But yeah, still, I agree. I think it's better to meet in a public place for the first date. Rayleigh Richardson. My ex-fiance broke me to the point that he made me convince myself that I had borderline personality disorder, and that was what caused all the problems in our relationship. I'm so glad we now live in different countries and I was able to escape that relationship. Good on you, really. That's terrible. Imagine. This is the problem. They make you out to be this crazy person that has all these like mental issues, but in reality, it's them. Crazy. Raquel Ward. The sad thing is that this has happened to me so many times. I feel safer being alone. The bad part about it is that I see them everywhere now, in every man. This video is a sad reminder why I prefer to be alone. Let me tell you something. The reason I wrote this film, one of the big inspirations for me was a friend who went through something similar. And when she broke up from her mentally abusive partner, she was the same, and she couldn't trust a man for many, many years. And it took her so much, building herself back up to regain that confidence. But she's in a happy relationship now. I think it is possible. Don't give up hope. There are good men out there, but you have to be very careful picking out the right ones. And Len Hocker. Narcissists act like they do because they are so fragile they will fall apart if you expose their insecurities. They are nothing more than scared little wonder children behind the Wizard of Oz curtain. It's sad, true. They are broken people. They're trying to make themselves feel better by bringing other people down and hurting them. Patty Kayla. I often said I'm sorry when I should have said fuck you and moved on. I saw this in a meme. So true. Stick to your gut. So true. I'm kind of the same. I always tend to apologize as well. Although I have changed and grown, I think, a lot. And it's just, it all comes back to confidence and believing yourself and believing your self-worth. Brandy. Great depiction of what many of us have faced, so we're happy to be on the other side of it. Anywhere is better than where I was. Thank you, God, for pulling my head out of my butt. Well done, Brandy. I'm really happy for you. Being able to be out of that relationship and feel free again. So good. Well done. G. Elbeth. Should I be worried that until the end I didn't think anything was wrong with the relationship because that's basically mine? Tricky. I think you should definitely listen to your gut and try and analyze whether you're happy in your relationship. And if you're not, and if you feel like you're walking on eggshells or constantly second guessing yourself, then I would really reevaluate your relationship. But it's tricky, I think, because obviously the first part of it was just showing her perspective as well, so it wasn't showing the full story. But yeah, if you're having these thoughts, then I think that is an indicator that you could be in an abusive relationship. Fairy Dancer 16. Calling others behind your back, getting advice because they're concerned. This one really hit home, like I'm looking at a replay of my marriage. Yeah, I think it's important to see how they managed to isolate you from your support network, your family, your friends. That was kind of like, that scene was placed there to showcase the audience how they try and make you feel like you don't have anyone that you can go to for support. Stephanie Sanders. The worst part for me is having 10 years of memories that I can't say for sure if any of them are true. Not being able to trust your own memory and thoughts and judgments is indescribable. It's like waking up in the twilight zone and not being able to get out. Yeah, it sounds really, really bad. I'm so sorry to hear that, Stephanie. I really hope that you managed to get out of that abusive relationship and feel better now. Comment from Comment Crafter. So when is the part when you explain to us what exactly gaslighting is? If you didn't get it, then watch it again. Emily Clawfield. Oh my god, this happened to me. I didn't realize it was so common. Emily, neither did I. Neither did I. And it scares me, to be honest, but it makes me angry and it makes me more determined to spread awareness and get the message out there. And really my hope with the feature film, with the full-length film, is to tell a more complete story, and also to describe how difficult it might be to get out of a relationship like this, even when you know that the person is terrible. But yeah, going back to you, I didn't realize it was so common either. This is it. I couldn't cover all the comments, unfortunately. I actually want to point out a few comments that I couldn't find now just by scrolling through them, but have kind of like affected me, or I just want to address them really. Number one was, why did I pick a female victim and not a male victim? And I just want to say to that I totally agree that gaslighting and narcissism is not gender specific. Men and women can be just as dangerous being gaslighters. And in fact, I know quite a few men who have been gaslit and who have been in an abusive relationship, and it's just as damaging. However, my main purpose of this film has always been to help the people who are most affected by gaslighting. And just statistically speaking, it is more women than men. So I just thought that, it would help a wider audience. But I hear you guys, and I understand where you're coming from, and I promise in the feature film, I really want to try and at least include a small perspective from a male point of view as well. Let's see how that goes. I'll do my best, because I agree, it is a valid point. Another comment I'd like to address is that a lot of people have been asking about part 2 or continuation of the story. And I'd like to say that me and my co-writer, Nick, we've been working on a feature film script for the last year or so. And we wanted to create a full-length film just because it gives us more room to develop the characters a bit more, give them a bit more of like backstory, meet their families, maybe get a better understanding of who they are, and also obviously to see how it ends, or what's going to happen once you find out that your partner is a narcissist and is gaslighting you. So stay tuned. I really hope that we'll be able to get it done soon. We pretty much finished with the script. We're just in the process of getting the financing and the producers on board. So yeah, if you know anyone who can help, send them my way. I need all the help I can get. Producing a feature film is much, much more difficult than producing a short film, I'll tell you that. So yeah, that was it. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this type of video. Would you like me to make more of reaction videos? Would you like me to make more videos about, talking about narcissism and gaslighting in general? I'm all ear. I want to hear what you guys think. And yeah, I really hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Oh, one last thing. My partner and I, we run a loose leaf tea subscription company called Tea Pro, where we go on a journey, like tea discovery journey, and show you all the different loose leaf teas, amazing loose leaf teas from all over the world. It's a really cool experience. And if you like tea like I do, then do check us out at teapro.co.uk. Thank you for tuning in.